So I'll getting back to your global goals frame. So when you hear, so I would offer this to you and your listeners. Anytime you hear somebody to say, what problem are you solving? What problem are you solving? Just stop for a moment, take a breath, and saying, here is our purpose, and this is our passion and our performance. If problems wake you up in the morning and you're excited by problems, go for it. It's okay. Go for it. But what I invite into your life is more music, more art, more opportunity, more humanity, and more humankind to live a life of beautiful. Don't be in pursuit of happiness. Be happy in the pursuit. So I think that those are fundamentally important to capture that in.
Welcome to the podcast, sir. I am so glad to finally have you on board. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Namaste, Mishika. It's really good to be here. And thank you for all of the beautiful work you do, your listeners, your audience. It's really important today. I hope you're having fun while you do it.
I am having a great time talking to people, and their inspiring words is what drives me in the morning.
Oh, good, good. Well, it does wake you up to be able to communicate with great people, to be inspired, to share stories, to be interested. So a podcast, what a really fun way to do it. So thank you for having this dialogue today. Amazing. Thank you.
So it's pretty early for you. So I want to know what drives you in the morning. You're so cheerful and you're so giving such happy vibes. What drives you?
Well, for sure this does. This is actually my favorite thing to do, to be amongst young, spirited, inspired, young people with verve and values, and seeing the world in beautiful ways that make the world beautiful for everybody. And so that's really inspiring. So when I get to wake up and do a podcast or teach a class or do an online course, especially in the space of social entrepreneurship and social innovation, that's a big wow. I spring out of bed in the morning, a cup of chai, and boom, I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
So, sir, what exactly awakened your interest in social entrepreneurship?
Well, thank you. When I was really in college, my first job wasn't out of college; it was in college. It was working for a television station for, in the States, it's ABC television. And I really loved the opportunity to move audiences, to listen to them, to have guests like you do, and to be really inspired. And I really wanted to be a hardcore journalist. I wanted to be a war correspondent. I wanted to be on the front line in the quiet corners of the world and really be able to explore the world and help share stories. But somewhere along the way, I didn't have the opportunity to do what I wanted to do while I was in college, while I was at the university. And it ended up moving more in the space of entertainment. And so it took a while to get back to entertaining the bigger picture, entertaining the things that matter most in my life.
Right, just having a voice and talking to people can bring in a change in ways we cannot even imagine.
Well, especially in the year of 2020, when we're spending so much time online and we have to break down the glass that's between us and the technology. And
Right.
we have to figure out other ways to embrace each other, to earn and learn trust, to be interested and understand what moves people, what motivates people, what's that magic mojo that wakes them up in the morning. And if we're all just taking selfies and pushing them out to the world and posting without asking powerful questions and engaging in dialogue, then we're just pushing stuff out into the universe into a bunch of noise. And so in that space of selfies and pushing, if we stop and pause and say, are we really having a dialogue with that person? Are we just pushing a selfie, somebody hits a like? Is that a deep, meaningful interaction? And just ask the question. And the more we ask, the more powerful questions, we'll get to the right answers.
Right, I couldn't agree more. So it feels so great to finally be able to see we have the CIO of Enactus on the show.
for me this morning, waking up, it was so great to finally be on Mishika's show. So thank you. I'm grateful to be here. Enactus is an amazing organization. I love the spirit. I love the value. I love the verbs of working with young, powerful, energized students who are working on purpose-driven projects and businesses to really support good. I had my first experience at Enactus in Sao Paulo, Brazil, after a long flight from Cape Town, South Africa, through New York, down to Sao Paulo, where they presented in Portuguese. Now, I don't know Portuguese, but I certainly knew that I was feeling something powerful. So having worked for many, many years with child soldiers, with disadvantaged communities, working in mother-child health initiatives, working on Malaria No More, it's always challenging to be in a sea of challenges, problems, and it can be overwhelming and very, very, very challenging to get to sleep at night. But to meet Enactus and see that as a sea of solutions and young, powerful students, it's amazing. So for any listeners who don't know about Enactus, just go to enactus.org, check it out, and join the powerful network all around the world of young students connected, networking, meeting with executive leaders. This is all about next-gen leaders changing the world through good with social innovation and social entrepreneurship. And also, I hope, having fun while we do it, because I often say, if we're not having fun here, if we're not enjoying ourselves, then what on earth are we doing?
Absolutely. And I've been a part of Enactus myself. And I can say this, the zeal to make impact is real in Enactus.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting. We should treat impact equally as we think about money. The
Right.
two are, money is measured by profits, by quarterly reports, by annual reports, by investors. We need to use the same rigors around impact as we do with money. And the two can be supportive. And to think about money as profits is one thing, but to think about the bigger picture and think about revenue as prosperity, a big fundamental difference between thinking about profits and thinking about prosperity. Prosperity engages and includes happiness. It includes having enough to share and to have more. And as we know, the more you have, the more you can share. And the more you share, the more you have. And that's a measure of prosperity. And the rest is about impact for people, planet, and peace. And while we can do a lot of work, as we did in 2020, driving towards climate change action, driving towards cleaning oceans, driving towards cleaning water and plastics, if we're not doing it in a peaceful, productive manner, it's wildly disrupted, as we've seen this year. The voice of change, the voice of reason, the voice of challenge rose in 2020 amongst a compromised population, amongst a compromised planet. But if we don't work on that core aspect of peace and justice, we're not going to get to where we need to go.
Right. And as you said, it is really inspiring for me to see the community come together in such difficult times and still longing to make an impact, still working to make an impact, and still being the change they want to see.
I think so too. And it's the measure of a person. 2020 is a year we were born for. We were born and raised for moments like this. This is a deep year of challenge, but I feel like it's given us new 2020 vision.
Right.
This is a time for entrepreneurs and innovators to rise to the occasion, to rethink. This is wildly disruptive. And in that wild disruption, we have a choice as a human to go to a couple of different places. We can go to talking about they need to fix this. They need to do this. They, the government, must do this. Those people, there is no they. My good friend Hoffman always reminds me there is no they, there is us, there is we.
Right.
And when we think in terms of we and working together, we won't burn down each other's business, we will build it. We won't burn down each other's spirit, we will build it, and we'll build on humankind. And I think that's a key difference. So this year is, I hope, giving us 2020 vision, because the other path that we can take is reaching out to each other, embracing each other. I really feel strong that we are not here in this earth to see through each other. We are here to see each other through.
Right. So I am very sure you must have seen a hell lot of Enactus projects. So what do you think? What according to you makes a project wholesome and fulfilling?
Yeah, there's five things that make a project really, really strong. For the Enactus students listening, and any young entrepreneur or young business startup, you always think about, here's our product. Here's what we're presenting. We're presenting this, and here's the money it could make, or here's the impact it could make. Here's this thing, this product or service thing. And what I like to look at is, what's the team behind it? Because as you know, if you're working with a good, strong team, anything is possible. And it is so true that never doubt what a small group of committed citizens can get done. It's the only thing that's ever changed the world, as Margaret Mead reminds us. So when I really look at a project, I really look at what's the team behind it. Are you impacted? Are you driven by it? If a team presents to me a project and they would like me to invest, support, or mentor, if that project or business fails and I've invested in it, I'm not going to be very happy. I'm not going to be as mindful or supportive about seeing you through that failure. But if I love the team and invest in the team and see who you are, that you got values, that you're communicating, that you're connected, that you work through team dynamics, I will invest the team and see you through failures, see you through challenges, because I'm investing in you as humankind. So I think team is a big central piece. That's one. Number two is how you measure your profits or your prosperity. Do you have rigors and discipline on how you are going to be sustainable? So are you making enough money, or a plan to make enough revenue where you can provide for yourselves, where you can be sustainable, where that eventual profits and prosperity can be shared with your customers, with your employees as you grow? So number one, team. Number two, how do you measure your prosperity and profits and sustainability? Number three, how do you measure your impact for peace, for planet, for people? That measure, with the great rigors that you would apply towards financing, is very, very important. That's piece number three. Piece number four is marketing or amplification. If you have a great product or service, you got an awesome team, you measure things properly, but you forgot or failed to measure, how is this going to get amplified in the world? What's our story? What's our truth? How will our customers be our advocates so that our customers say, wow, this is so amazing, that they tell the story for you? Right. Are you giving your customers the tools? Are you giving your friends and your advocates the tools to tell this story? So that's piece number four. And then the fifth piece, which like a Venn diagram lands right in the middle, it's your vision, your purpose, and your values. And values to me are first. Are you, not only did you establish values, maybe a word or a statement, but are you actually living your values? Are you actually communicating your values? Are you actually checking in with your team to make sure you're on values? Sometimes values is a place that we never quite get to, but we aspire, we keep working at them, and that's okay. And so, Mashika, the one thing that I would offer is there's a statement in the United States, lives in our Constitution. It is called the pursuit of happiness. So we talk about the right to pursue happiness. Terrific. So we're heading towards happiness. But wow, what if we never get there? So what if we reverse the pursuit of happiness and think about the happiness of pursuit? Why wait to be happy when you have an opportunity to be happy right now? So if you're happy in the journey, you're going to love the destination. And if you don't get to your destination and you're already happy, you've just arrived.
Right. Beautiful. That was lovely. You know, I myself would be guilty to say I've never thought of it this way.
Well, I'm glad it's an opportunity to dialogue, Mishika, and I love what you're doing, and I love what how you're connecting people, and I ask you to think about, and ask your listeners to think about, when you have a great idea, who's supporting that idea? Who's there to surround you and go, yeah, great idea, and we could build on it, and bringing you that energy and excitement. Who are those people that are your tribe, your core, your friends, your garage band, the ones you want to make music with? Who are those people? Oftentimes, an organization begins to grow. You've got those great core people. Even Google started in the garage with two guys, just like a band would, just like, great music would. It starts small with a small group of people who are really bonding together, working through their challenges. And as you grow, your project or your organization starts to add people. And those people are important. They're specialists, they're coders, they're posting social, they're marketers, they're accountants. And as you grow, you get more and more specialists. And then if you find yourself growing so much that when you're growing ideas and you're presenting yourself but not getting it out to the world, that's challenging. So a small group of people usually test their project, test their theory, test their ideas with other people who ultimately are their customer. And that's the ultimate truth, to know, I'm playing music, I got a band, I'm putting it out to the world. They're either buying it or not. If they're not, what can I do to change it up? If I'm an artist, I create art. I put it out there in the world. And if people are attracted to it, they're conversant about it, maybe even purchasing it, they're reacting to it, we create a dialogue, then we've put it out to the world. So I find it's very important that a team really work on their verve, their values, their energy, and then they test their ideas, they test their theory with the world in small case scenarios, get that back. Because if you grow to the point where you're only talking to yourselves, or you're presenting it to your boss and your boss checks it and sends it back and comes back up again, and your boss looks at it and sends it back down, it's going nowhere. You're stuck in a loop. So keep your tight team together, operate and speak your values, and test your theories with the world, because they will become your champions, your advocates. They'll become your best lifelong loyal customers, and it will be awesome.
Right, sir. Something which I also was very curious about, and I wanted to ask you, is almost every sustainable development goal comes with its own challenges. So there's so
Sure.
much to pick from. So even while I was in Enactus, we were doing the research on the projects we aim to launch. So we had this very common problem which we were stuck over and over. There are so many problems around us. There are so many people who need help. Which beneficiary do we actually work with? Which problem do we pick? Which SDG do we pick?
So in your last couple of sentences, what word rose the most in your couple of sentences there? What word did you hear yourself saying?
SDG.
So great. And I heard a word that you may not even have heard that you said over and over and over. I actually just said it a sentence ago, which problem. Problem with SDG, right? The problems. So, as social innovators and social entrepreneurs, we work really hard to convert a problem into a solution. And so a lot of people look at the global goals as opportunities, and of course as targets, and how do we measure and meet our targets. But what I would offer to you is a mindset shift, okay? Just for a moment, many college professors, many people will talk about problem, solution. And then you'll present and they'll go, what problem are you solving? What problem are you solving? Do you think your favorite Bollywood actor, your favorite musician, wakes up in the morning and going, yay, I'm ready to solve problems. Wow, what problem is my music going to solve today? What problem is my art going to solve today? And I will tell you that if you look at the world of problems, you will find problems. And problems will find you, and you can live a whole life of problems. But what I would offer you, or invite you to think about, bringing it deep into your heart and into your mind, and embody the world as beautiful. I would ask you to think about first, look for the beauty. Even a small child who is starving on the roadside is a beautiful soul, beautiful potential, beautiful body, beautiful eyes, beautiful opportunity, a whole life before that child. There's not a problem child. Nobody should be told that they're a problem, ever. We are not problems. We are beautiful. And so, a fundamental choice, you can think about problem solution, it'll find you. But if you choose to look at the world beautiful, you can then ask yourself, how could I protect that beautiful? How could I add to beautiful? How could I support beautiful? How can I create more beautiful? Or maybe I should just leave it alone and appreciate it. You can then have a choice of living a problem solution world or living a beautiful life. The fundamental difference of living in problem solution and seeing the world as beautiful is you then change your mindset to your action. And when you change your mindset into your action, you won't think about problem, problem, problem. You will go, what's my passion? Where is my passion? How can I take my passion, move it into performance, and live a life of purpose? So when we think about that process for an entrepreneur or an Enactus student or anyone in a startup, think about what's our passion? How can we optimize our performance? And then how can we move into the life of passion and purpose? So it's really passion, performance, and purpose. And when you add to that value and verbs, you will find the right energy to meet a purpose-driven life.
Beautiful. I think that was the answer I was really longing for and the mindset shift I was looking for. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So I'll getting back to your global goals frame. So when you hear, so I would offer this to you and your listeners, anytime you hear somebody to say, what problem are you solving? What problem are you solving? Just stop for a moment, take a breath, and saying, here is our purpose, and this is our passion and our performance. If problems wake you up in the morning and you're excited by problems, go for it. It's okay. Go for it. But what I invite into your life is more music, more art, more opportunity, more humanity, and more humankind to live a life of beautiful. Don't be in pursuit of happiness. Be happy in the pursuit. So I think that those are fundamentally important to capture that. And then when it comes to the global goals are amazing. 169 subpoint targets right into 17 global sustainable development goals. Those goals were the world's largest survey ever conducted by Gallup, reaching out more people around the world than ever before. Those are not goals that belong to the United Nations. Those are not goals that belong to a company or some evil plot or some hidden agenda. Those are the goals that we articulated as human beings for all that we could see and hear and need for the planet. Are they fully complete? No. Are they as close as we've ever had? Probably. So as we think about those global goals, they truly are goals for a better life, to bring happiness now, to really drive at the hard spaces and places that we're working on. We work in hard places and spaces. We work with compromised environments. We work with pollution. We work with people whose lives are so challenged. So where's the opportunity to bring a little touch of happiness, a seed of beautiful? And if we start with that seed of beautiful, we can nurture it to peace and prosperity and enough for all of us. I truly believe in the opportunity of abundance. I believe we are on a planet flying through space at incredible speed and spinning around the sun on a place of abundance. And we're not stuck even on the abundance of Earth. We have the opportunity to consider the open space around us.
Beautiful, sir. That is the ideal mindset we would like to have, and all the Enactus members would. Anyone listening to this would be those who were previously approaching the projects with a problem mindset. I think they would have a huge shift in the way they approach life in general.
Yeah, I think so too, Mishika. And also just looking at your team, right? And just starting that moment and starting with your team and going, wow, you guys are beautiful. You know, you're interesting, you're quirky, you're unusual, you ask the good questions, you sometimes are really challenging, but look at this group. Is this not beautiful? Guys, we can make music together. And if you start with your team and go, guys, where does it all break down? Where do projects go wrong? When you look at where projects go wrong, there's two fundamental things in businesses and projects that really are a breakdown. Number one is not understanding the customer, not understanding the marketplace, not taking a really strong, good needs and assessment to know, is this a good fit? Will my customers be advocates, no matter what that product or service is? The other thing, it's the team. The team often implodes, explodes, creates the challenge that breaks the back on the project. It's when the team falls apart. So get your team together and say, how are we going to work together? So I would say step one, work on that team. And then step two, think about who's that customer and who are we serving? And so I think, you know, if shifting those two key elements together and go, are we as a team getting along? And if we're not, sometimes we don't, but how will we get along? How frequently we commute? Some of your team members are really quiet. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to talk every day. Give them permission to be quiet. Give them permission to do their thing. Give them the space. Give them the support. Give them the opportunity. And be interested in your team members. Don't attempt to be interesting.
Right. There's also this, as you said, don't attempt to be interesting. There's also this common code that you often say in the world of improv, dare to be dull. So just be yourself, just be obvious sometimes, and just go with the flow, because no one wakes up in the morning and writes a script for the day.
No one wakes up in the morning and writes a script for the day. And it's beautifully said. And even if we did, we may not be able to follow it. So there's a lot of opportunity in the art of improv. You know, improv allows us to be flexible, to be agile, to take grit and to move it into this passionate life of purpose. So I think there's a lot to be said. And when we even use the word but in a sentence, and I were to say to somebody, you know, I love you, but you're cooking, right? Now the love just went out the window. Forget about the love. It's all like, what's the problem with my cooking? What about my cooking? You cook, forget it, you know. So if we say, I love you, and what if we cook together? And what if we take a class in cooking together? And what if we experimented a little bit better? Or what if I just stayed out of the kitchen and loved your cooking and I was appreciative? So when we put the but, our big but in the way, it changes the sentence. It changes how we feel, changes our mind, changes how we react, and we start to get cold and it shifts. So there's little trigger words, even in our conversation, to be really mindful of. Did I use a word that just triggered somebody? And that all comes in the art of facilitation. Your team should have a good facilitator, the one that does a lot of work. There's a lot of work in facilitating, to be mindful of, how is everybody in the room right now? How are we doing? Are we coming together? Or are we falling apart?
Right, sir. So I would like to know at your end, like, what are the things that you've learned while you had such first-hand experience and while you're working with young leaders in Enactus?
I learn every day. I learn every minute. And if I'm not learning and if I'm not listening, I'm not innovating. I have this nice title called Chief Innovation Officer, which really is about listening and learning each and every moment. It's being open. It doesn't mean I have to create the ideas. It means I have to just invite them and help connect people and collaborate people in the true spirit of the 17th goal, partners for the goals. How are we truly collaborating? So when I have this opportunity to be inspired and fired up with fuego and energy and mojo, working with young energy, it does the same for me. It's really important that we take age discrimination out of the question. And it's really important as we look at divides. What are the things that divide us? Racial divides, belief divides, skin color divides. I mean, are you kidding me? Have we not grown up and grown beyond and broken down our own borders? Seriously. So we got to look at the divides in our life and say, you know, sure, if you've lived on the earth longer, you'll have more experience, but experience ain't it. Experience is not it. If experience was it, then companies like Kodak and Polaroid would be the Instagram of the world.
Right.
Companies like Disney and broadcasters would be the Netflix of the world. Experience is good. Experience is nice. But those with the new theories trump experience all day long. So if you get your experience and theory together, now you've got something really valuable. And if you look at those two and say, wow, experience, I value it. That's really important. And how about my new theory? How does that work? Could they work together? So many, many companies have fallen over the last 10 years, and many old companies that have been around for a long time will continue to fall unless they reinvent themselves, where they have the right theory. And that's really important. So the age gap and the age divide is ridiculous. You know, I stand on stages or been with other adults in the room who will say, you are the next generation. You are the one that's going to save the world. You are the one who's like, wait a minute, hold on, man. You're not dead yet. As long as you're here on this earth, you're crew. You're not going to take a ride. There's no easy street. And so when I look at planet Earth spinning through this, you know, through this space at incredible speed, there are no passengers. There's only crew, and it's us. There's no they. It's just us. And when we think in those terms, and if somebody says to you, well, you're the next generation, that's like saying, hey, we threw this party. Could you guys clean it up? Would that be okay with you? No way, man. No. I'm sorry. We're here together, and as long as you're live on this beautiful earth, let's work together. Let's look past our differences and celebrate what unites us, and then look at those pieces that are different and go, wow, that's quirky, that's fun, that's interesting. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us kind.
Right. So that is the best thing I've heard, because I've been listening this a lot. Generation Z, millennials. We all are in this together.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Mishika, you know, one of my first early jobs out of college was this network called MTV. And I started their very first tours for MTV. And we started focusing on this thing called a teenager. Okay. And then the more we focused on teenager and television and music, that became a marketing sector. That became a group that people targeted and started selling products to, and then breaking down this thing called teenager. And it started to separate from family, creating teenager shows, creating teenage products. And it broke down the opportunity to blur the lines between age. And so it was part of something that wasn't intended to go the way it did. It became a profit-driven entity. And that's not the entity that's going to survive us. It's not the entity that's going to serve us. So when I think about the lessons that I learned, that's a tough one. Even in video games, I'm told that I am the OG, the original gangsta of esports. And it goes way back. I had the first esports television show. I had the first esports tour, Game Riot, and I had the first esports arena. I created all of these in the middle of Times Square called XS New York. It was all about esports and gaming, and it was a long time ago. I didn't know at that time that it would turn into the industry that it did. That was not the intention. The intention was getting games out of the bedroom and the basement and celebrating them with other people, talking about gamers like they were Olympic athletes and talking about their grades, their life, being interested in the human behind it, not the machine, not the violence, not the fantasy that takes us into often dark places, but actually celebrate. And so when I look at the influence that was created in that time, I say, wow, is that really the place and space we needed to go? And what went wrong? And when you attach the drive of profits, and people can sell you video games, and hey, so what if that video game is really, really violent? So what if we've created violence as fantasy for millions and millions of not only young boys, but young girls that are now becoming parents? So what? Look at the profits. We're really making a lot of money. Is that really what we're supposed to be making out of our life? Is it really about the money? And if you are a gamer, you know, games are fun. Look, I love games. I love gamified learning. We should be playing games. But what is it doing to us? Are we playing the game, or is the game playing us?
Right. Mhm. So, sir, what has been the role of the most important people in your life, those who've not, who basically lifted you up, and those who've
Yeah.
never stopped you from pursuing your dreams?
Yeah. My mom, my father, I was lucky. My mom was very funny and entertaining and always inventing in her mind. And my dad would create those inventions. And they gave me the permission and spirit and understanding that all things are possible. And my mom oftentimes would start her sentences as, well, what if, and she was what ifing the world. And then my dad would join in, and then they'd get me to join in. And pretty soon we were creating things in our mind. We were creating products, creating services, creating ideas. And it was just fun. It was our entertainment when we'd start with what if, and more importantly, when the other person jumped in and supported it. So my mom and dad, you know, how lucky was I, you know, and I know, you know, we have to look to who are those people that support us and look up who are those people interested in us. And so, you know, that's something I'm forever grateful for. And sometimes the people that can support us most are very, very close to us. And when we think about Mishika, what are the people that most inspired us in life? And we think about, were they interesting? Maybe, likely. But if you also think about the person that had the most influence in your life, were they interested in you? Was it reciprocal? Was it because they saw something in you, found something in you, were inspired by you, invested in you? So that kind of relationship of being interested versus interesting is profound. It's a great opportunity in the world. So if we're interested in our customers, interested in our team, we find the beauty in the world, then we can live a life of purpose, and we can have happiness now, not later.
Right, sir. And what is that one advice that you've got, be it in a professional career or your personal life, which you would like to sum up into a 5 to 7 word presentation title and share with us?
Oh, sure. What's that thing in the bottle? What can we drink in the morning in our chai? What's the secret ingredients? Well, I hope to believe that many of those ingredients were sprinkled into this beautiful conversation. So to sum it up without relishing all of the ingredients together, I would say, if I were to sum it up, enjoy this podcast, listen from start to finish, and figure out what it is for you in your life that wakes you up in the morning. What I would suggest to do is take a piece of paper and create a map. Create a map. You can call it a life map, a goal map, or a map. And ask yourself, what are my passions? How am I performing? And what is my purpose? And many people love to say, start with the why, start with the purpose. Well, that's cool if you got one. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. Keep filling up your bucket with passion. But remember that having a goal that's purpose-driven is a place to go to. And so I would say, to sum this up, is to say, live a life of purpose, work to understand what that purpose is, write it down, and put it in a place next to your bed. Write it down and put it in a place that you carry. Write it down and put it in a place that you share, but write it down. with a real pen, a real paper, a real pencil. Write it down so you have it somewhere close to you and say, that's my goal. That's my purpose. Even if it's a blank right now, and say, no, it's fine. I'll find it. No problem. I think that, it is often said the two most important days in our lives are the day we were born and the day we learn and find out why.
Right. Right. The day we figure out the purpose.
Yeah. So to sum it all up, enjoy a purpose. Don't pursue happiness. Be happy in the pursuit. And really work on those around you. Be interested. Pull your team together. Live your own personal values. Establish your own personal values on that same piece of paper. Write down what your values are. Check in with them often. And then look for that energy, that verve, that passion that's infectious, that brings other people along into your ideas, into your innovation, into a life of purpose.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing such great messages with us and such great insights. I am pretty sure this will add value to the lives of the listeners.
Namaste, Mishika. I love what you do and your listeners. It's really powerful, important, and keep up your good work. And I can't wait to see where you go next. Have a beautiful day.
Have a great day, sir.